are trying to just record through OBS with the webcam today because I'm gonna have to read off the screen anyway. So if I'm looking back and forth, it's because the webcam is straight ahead. My laptop's over here. I have a really weird desk setup. It's hard to explain why they cannot be one and the same, and the one built into my computer, as expensive as it is shit. So, deal with it. Anyway, oh man, I meant to get on this yesterday, but as you can hear in my voice, I'm a little bit sick, and I was in bed most of the day yesterday. I caught my mom's RSV, coolio. But anyway, it was in the news yesterday. Barbie has now unveiled its first ever autistic Barbie. And immediately I had a very knee-jerk, visceral reaction just hearing that of what fresh hell has just been unleashed, and was like, oh god, please don't let it be some stereotypical bullshit. It is some stereotypical nonsense, but when I read the articles about why they made the decisions they did, I walked back the way I felt. But initially, just hearing that and seeing it without further context, I very viscerally was like, this is insulting. Why am I upset about this? But I feel insulted. So before we read off the description of why they chose each thing they did, let me just show you the doll. Here is Autism Barbie, guys. Um, how are we feeling about that? Because I know how I'm feeling about that, just looking at it with no context, and I'm still feeling the same way that I did initially when only looking at it and not taking it at any further value. It's giving that Saya movie music about the autistic girl that was super freaking tone deaf, and how it went about it and felt like the most insulting stereotypical piece of shit, and a lot of people were mad about it, and it kind of ruined her career as well as that girl that she had star in it. Um, yeah, it is giving that big time. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Hold up. Yeah, it is giving this nonsense. And I'm still upset that that happened. I still need to review it one of these days, but was insulted then, still insulted now, and I was just like, oh god, Barbie's guilty of it now too? Really? I expected better from you, Barbie. But now, also let me show you the box. This is going to be relevant in a minute. So the picture on the box looks like this. Again, my knee-jerk reaction, my knee-jerk reaction was like, I feel insulted and I don't know why. Because here's the thing, autism doesn't have a look. It's one of the invisible illnesses, okay? So everybody experiences it a little differently who has it. I am autistic. This is no secret to you guys unless this is the first time you're seeing me, but yes, I am autistic. Um, Typically it is a sensory processing disorder, and just the way we're wired, the way we think about things, the way we obsess over things, like a lot of our interpersonal relationships is shaped by that different lens that we see the world through. Is there physical traits with that? Not so much. It's not a set look. There are certain traits that a lot of us tend to have, but it's not the same thing is, like, say, wheelchair Barbie, where, okay, like, that there's a look, if you see someone in a wheelchair that they can't walk. Like, it's not like that. It's not so concrete. It's not so simple when it comes to autism, okay? So this, I'm like, so we're distilling it down to iconography. I don't know how to feel about that. But let me pull up the article, because when they break it down, it made it make a lot more sense. I was like, this completely changes the way I feel about it, and I actually got really weirdly emotional about it once I saw it explained out. And then I was like, oh my god, okay, this is the first time I feel really seen in a while. Okay, so the body. The autistic Barbie doll features elbow and wrist articulation, enabling stimming, hand flapping, and other hand gestures that some members of the autistic community use to process sensory information or express excitement. Stop right there. I was like, holy shit. Just looking at that doll, you wouldn't get that out of it, right? But hearing it explained, I'm like, holy shit. Okay, okay. The hairstyle chosen, they just gave her straight hair because for many of us, hand-eye coordination is not our forte, and we kind of really don't fuck with like extended hairstyles that take much of any effort. This is not styled. This is what happens when I let my hair air dry and I do absolutely nothing to it, not even brush it. So I understand. About the most expansive hairstyle I do is taking a straight iron to it to straighten it. That is about the extent of it, or I throw it in pigtails or a ponytail and I call it a freaking day. Those are about the only styles you're going to see on me. If you see something with more detail than that, it means I went and I asked somebody for help doing it because I literally do not possess that skill set. So seeing that even reflected in the doll, I was like, this is my moment to sit down and shut the fuck up. Okay, you know what? Fair. Fair play. Fair play. Eye gaze. This I did not catch until it was pointed out, but I was like, holy shit. The doll is designed with an eye gaze shifted slightly to the side, which reflects how some members of the autistic community may avoid direct eye contact. Oh my god, she's me! Oh my god. That was where I started crying when I read this the first time because I was like, oh my god, alright, you know what? Maybe they did understand the assignment actually. And now I feel bad for being offended by it initially. Actually, I'm misting up a little right now. Accessories. Each doll comes with a pink finger clip fidget spinner, noise-canceling headphones, and a tablet. The fidget spinner. The doll holds a pink finger clip fidget spinner that actually spins, offering a sensory outlet that can help reduce stress and improve focus. Again, when I first saw it, I was like, that is so stereotypical and fucked up. As if I don't have like 5 fidget spinners and a shit ton of other fidget toys. Obviously, they're not going to just give her an array of fidget toys. They had to distill it down to one, and that is kind of the most stereotypical one. So fine, fair enough. Headphones. Pink noise-canceling headphones rest on top of the doll's head as a helpful and fashionable accessory that reduces sensory overload by blocking out background noise. Now again, while it may have initially made me think of that Saya movie, do I not literally have my own pair of pink noise-canceling headphones that pretty much, yeah, alright, fine, fair. And especially like in my teens before I was diagnosed properly, I pretty much was incapable of going out in public without having headphones on because everything was so fucking overwhelming to me that it was my only way I could be out in public without having a complete autistic meltdown over it. Once I knew there was a reason for that and it wasn't me just being a spoiled little shithead, that helped a lot to the point where I can do it. I don't like to do it without them. I'm very reluctant to without them. But I can if the circumstances are right, but I don't prefer it. I very much prefer to have my noise canceling headphones all of the time, if at all possible, because then I can control the sensory input. So again, fair play, you know what? Nailed it. A tablet. Oh, you mean like I got right here? Yeah. All right. Fucking fair. Although my reasons for it are different than theirs, but a pink tablet is shown symbol-based augmentative and alternative communication apps, AAC, on its screen serves as a tool to help with everyday communication. So admittedly, I probably could have benefited from that if this had been a thing when I was little. Tablets didn't exist yet. AAC didn't exist yet. That is a much more recent development, so I didn't get to benefit from it, but a lot of my nephews do, actually. So, Fair, and they are autistic as well. They're more severely autistic than I am, actually. Some of them are basically nonverbal, but speech therapy is getting them to communicate a little, so there's progress, but okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Sensory sensitive fashions. And this is where I, again, initially did not understand that they even took that into play, because initially I was like, this is not exactly the cutest thing they could have given her, but the doll wears a loose-fitting purple pinstripe A-line dress with short sleeves and a flowy skirt that provides less fabric-to-skin contact. Purple shoes complete the outfit with flat soles to promote stability and ease of movement. As somebody who has literally had full-on meltdowns over pants being too clingy in the crotch area to the point where I can't fucking deal with it at all, like I have to have flowy, a little bit billowy pants, I cannot deal with the other. I understand this a lot. And the fact that they went with a fabric that wouldn't be overwhelming as well. Like, I cannot, personally, with crushed velvet. Like, I will crash out every time just being so much is in the vicinity of it. If I have to touch it at all or even hear the sound of the fabric rubbing against it, I fucking can't. So, I understand it may not be necessarily the cutest thing. However, I do have some comments that I would like to point out about that choice. I know it's just a doll, therefore it ain't that deep, but let me show you. Okay, let me go back to OBS so I can see where we're at. All right, so we see this line right here, right across here, where it goes into the ruffly area. Unless this is a separate two-piece outfit, which I do not believe it is because you can see the stitching, you're going to feel that seam every time you sit down. And I can tell you as an autistic person, we don't play well with things like that either if we can feel them. Like, generally, it does not end well for us. So, I'm like, you probably should have run this outfit choice past an actual autistic person before just going with it. Not to mention, look how clingy the sleeves are. Like, look at it again. This looks like a stiff fabric. If it were a stretchy fabric, fine. But if it's clingy like this, and it's gonna be that tight, no autistic is cool with that, usually. However, the shoes being flat, specifically for stability and for balance, when, again, our coordination is not our strong point. Oh, I am sorry. Literally what I wear on a daily basis, and they're even Barbie branded, and like, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. And this is why I was like, I need to sit down and shut the fuck up, because honestly, actually, like I said, if you look into the why of all of the executive decisions they made about this doll, they make sense. They do make sense. So I'm like, so why do I still, like, every time I just see the picture of it, feel some kind of way? But then I remember why they chose all of those, and then I calm down because I'm like, wait, no, actually they put a lot of thought into this. Because how do you give that visual representation to a doll? That is a challenge, and I feel like they did live up to it. What I would personally like to see is also an autism Ken who is like really into trains and dinosaurs, if we're gonna go with the stereotyping, but like, come on, you didn't even try for the special interest thing. That is like my one big complaint personally. However, the complaint that I've seen a lot of people make is not about any of these things, although everyone seems to be in agreement about the whole fact of literally any doll could be an autistic doll depending how you choose to play with her. No, the complaint I'm seeing again is about the way they did her face. Notice the nose. They gave her a different nose than every other Barbie. None of the other Barbies have a big nose. And I'm over here like, I don't know about you guys. I feel seen. I don't think the nose is an autistic thing. Maybe it is. Like, I'm sorry, is there like a connection between nose shape and autism? Because if so, that probably explains a lot. But okay, on the doll itself, you can see it better in this shot. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay. All right. Racially ambiguous Barbie. Okay, cool. But like that's fine. Um the fact that she's even like a brunette to boot, which like it depends on the shot. In some of it looks brown, in some of them it looks black. Especially in the little illustration it looks brown. My hair is not naturally red. I'm naturally a brunette. So, as the kid who was always given the brunette Barbies, I'm like, there would have been a fair chance I would have ended up with this Barbie as a kid, especially if I had had that diagnosis a lot sooner. We just weren't there yet. Back in the 90s, like, everyone still thought that autism was a boy's disorder. We've come a long freaking way, is all I can say. But I appreciate the effort. I think too many people aren't hearing the explanations for why on the details of this doll. And they're having that same knee-jerk reaction I did right at first. Because, again, once you see it broken down, it's like, that does make sense, actually. And they're not wrong. But it's like, well, there's a few ways they could have done this differently. One, they could have done like an accessory set you could add to literally any doll and called it a day. But would anyone have bought it? Probably not. I do feel like it was a smarter move for them to make a doll properly that is an autistic Barbie. Because now we've got Down syndrome Barbie, we have diabetic Barbie, we have blind Barbie, wheelchair Barbie. I feel like there's a few others I'm forgetting, but there's a handful of these now. So it's nice seeing them expand this outward. But yeah, there's not a whole hell of a lot I can think of that I would have personally done differently to represent it in a doll, other than maybe try to find a way to include like special interests. But then again, you can't do just one special interest that fits for everybody. Because, yeah, I know there's like the whole stereotypical thing of autistic people in trains, and I mean, they're not entirely wrong. They're not entirely wrong on that either, a lot of the time. Although for some people, it's planes. It's not for me, but like, I, there is something to it. But, we have very analytical minds who are very fascinated by being able to see how things work. So it makes sense that something like a train appeals to a lot of us, but that's a whole other side tangent. But regardless, I mean, other than that, I really, other than just the outfit itself maybe being a little different, yeah. I mean, I saw some people saying, nah, they should have given her the autistic uniform of like sweats and a hoodie. And I'm like, yeah, but not every autistic person is into that either. Some of us find those to be sensory nightmares. I mean, not me, but I have known people who can't hang with them. But don't you think people would have been upset then if that was the look given and be like, they didn't even try to give her an outfit that looked nice. They made her look dumpy. Like, this would have been a whole other thing. So I understand why they didn't do that. But yeah, it is a very fine line of how do you translate autism for a doll? And I guess the way they went about it really is probably about the most respectful way they could have done that. Really. So, I'm not mad at it now that I understand it, even though initially, before I clicked into any articles explaining it and breaking it down, ask either one of my sisters, I was kind of rage quitting out over everything for like a solid 20 minutes before one of them linked me to an article, was like, hey, dumbass, read this. And I was like, oh, and then I sat there and I cried when I was like, actually, I feel really seen right now. So that's about all I have to say on it.